Hello and welcome to Wightwick Manor and Gardens, the beautiful arts and crafts inspired home of the Manor family. This is a fine example of how a garden can meet the house and they can complement each other perfectly through art and fine design. I want to share some of those key elements with you now. The garden literally washes up against the walls and then spreads out into a series of rooms. I'm here on the south lawn, which is a key element of the Thomas Mawson design. One particular feature is the way that he's divided up the terrace. So we've got the upper terrace and the lower terrace. In between it is a key feature of the movement, which is the oak balustrades. So I've now come into the formal garden, which is another room of the gardens here at Wightwick Manor. We feature large swathes of herbaceous planting. I've got some salvia just behind me. We've got some large clumps of clematis, heleniums, and also acanthus mollis. We also feature a lot of roses. In the background, we have in the terracotta borders a variety called Buff Beauty. We have to maintain these herbaceous plants by staking them in late spring, because obviously they put on a lot of growth, and we tie them in and it makes sure that they hold their shape throughout the season, which should be from July right the way through to September. Now, roses are incredibly important here at Wightwick Manor and Gardens. They feature heavily outside and extremely heavily in a lot of the beautiful artwork that's found within Wightwick Manor itself. There's a lot going on in this part of the garden and we've got lots of plans for the future. Currently, the rose pergola is in process of being restored. The outer circle was done earlier on in the year and that now has some new roses called Phyllis Bide, which are going to grow up and scramble over the woodwork, and the beautiful ironwork that is also referencing with some small iron screws some of the work from William Morris in the house. We also feature a Thomas Mawson inspired gate up into the top corner, and something that we're really keen to do is to improve our access, and we're going to do that by bringing a path from the start of this garden room all the way up towards the next area, which currently does have a path onto it. So we're going to really look to make that link without compromising the overall view back towards the house, which Thomas Mawson would have wanted to have been predominantly grass. Now, it's not all formal in these parts of the gardens. A particular quirky element are the topiary peacocks behind me, and they would have been inspired by another designer called Alfred Parsons. So as we leave the formal gardens and we can turn right onto what we call the Long Walk, which was actually proposed by Alfred Parsons in 1899, but completed by a different designer, Thomas Mawson, in 1904. And this feature effectively acts as a corridor between a number of different rooms within the garden. At the top of Long Walk, closest to the house, we have two artefacts which actually come from the Houses of Parliament from a repair period of 1933, taken by Geoffrey Mander. So in fact, Long Walk could be called Statesman's Walk, because these artefacts are actually stone crowns lifted from the parapet of Big Ben. And there are other political associations within the garden, not least a tree planted by Clement Attlee, the Labour leader in 1953, who came to the garden and worked with Geoffrey Mander to put this tree in the ground, and we can still see it here today. That particular type of tree is a hornbeam, which is known as being William Morris's favourite tree from Epping Forest. So many areas of the house already look fantastic with the planting right up against the walls. For example, here we've got beautiful Rosa glauca, which is hanging over, arching gracefully out onto the pathways. Behind me, we've got a blank canvas, and we're going to plant another rose there by tying it in, because what we want to do is to cloak the house without clinging right to the walls, which would be detrimental to the fabric of the building. Well, thank you so much for joining me here at Wightwick Manor and Gardens today. It's a real privilege to be here in position as head gardener, as a custodian of the outdoor space, and I want to say thank you for all of your support. Without you, it would not be possible to look after special places like this.